Welcome back to this YSA special previewing EA Sports NHL 10 and giving you a guide to how to fantasy draft in the game. So we took a break after we selected our first few players, Jake Saltzman and I, and now we're going to give you a brief overview of what the teams look like, and we'll do it by line. So on the first line, you have Zetterberg at the left wing, our first pick, Todd Zajac.
Travis Zajac.
Travis Zajac.
It's all right. It's okay.
So a guy you said really has no bad part of his game.
There are no flaws in
his game. And Patrick Kane, obviously, a great young gun on the right wing. And then the second line, Marco Sturm, Peverley, a guy you're absolutely in love with.
I'm absolutely crazy about Rich Peverley. I'll tell you why in a second. Keep going.
All right, and then, you know, if I can read right, Okposo.
Kyle Okposo.
All right. And then you have MacArthur, Turris, and Belak on the third line. And on the fourth line, you've got York, Anisimov, and Down. And then when you look at the defense, you've got Duncan Keith, Streit, John Michael Lyles, Robidas, Parent, and Potier for the defense. So let's go back to Mr. Peverley. Why are you so fascinated with a 79 overall?
All right. Ilya Kovalchuk is one of the best players in the National Hockey League.
Without a question.
Problem is, he's hidden away in Atlanta, deprived of playoff hockey for many years. The Thrashers, since they've come into the league, have only made the playoffs once. In that year, Mark Savard was the center for Ilya Kovalchuk. Mark Savard has since moved on. He's in Boston now.
Right.
For the last couple of years, the Thrashers have been desperately seeking a center to get the puck to Ilya Kovalchuk. Rich Peverley is that guy. He came on last season, and really, there one game, a game against the Montreal Canadiens, he was delightful to watch. He's great in the face-off circle, and most importantly, he'll get the puck to Ilya Kovalchuk. He may not actually be playing on a line with Ilya Kovalchuk right now.
Right.
But he is a great guy to have in the system. He's a great depth forward, does every little thing right. Coaches love him. He is the answer at center for the Atlanta Thrashers, and that's why I'm in love with him.
So he's one of those role player guys.
He's a role player, but he'll make all the plays. He's got great offensive instincts, and he's not a liability in the defensive zone. So
there you see the graphic again. I mean, obviously this offense is centered around the two first-line wingers, Kane and Zetterberg, our first two overall picks. So obviously, you know, the bulk of the scoring and the bulk of the touches are going to go to them. But then when you look at the second line, Marco Sturm, we didn't just pick him because he's a Boston Bruin, also a reliable sniper. You know, he's a nice, reliable guy to have in relief of Zetterberg and Kane.
He is. You don't really lose a beat with Marco Sturm and Kyle Okposo. Kyle Okposo and Marco Sturm, both wingers, great offensive instincts. And in a game like this, you really, really need those offensive instincts. And those are two guys that are going to have them for you, especially with Rich Peverley getting them the puck.
Right. Again, just goes back to Peverley. And on the defense, you know, there's, you know, Duncan Keith is obviously, you know, a standout defenseman who doesn't really deserve all the credit like we were talking about earlier. John Michael Lyles is a pretty well-known name. But overall, you know, I feel like our team is pretty well built.
They're pretty well built. They have they have the nucleus of players that they can center around. Keith and Streit on the back end, Zajac and Zetterberg up front. And then Ilya Bryzgalov in goal. We haven't looked at our backup goalie here. It looks like Craig Anderson is the backup. He is. Craig Anderson is the backup on this team.
Not a bad guy.
Not a bad guy to have as a backup. He's actually starting right now in Colorado. He's been lights out to start the season. And Ilya Bryzgalov, again, I say he's got a chip on his shoulder. He's a very, very good goalie. All
right, well, thank you very much, Jake Saltzman. Again, I am Andrew Ramsey. And thank you, everybody, who has tuned in to watch this YSA special NHL 10 Fantasy Draft Guide.